Hi guys, welcome back to a vlog. I've been pretty quiet over the last few months, mostly because I've been pretty busy doing other stuff. The business is going reasonably well. I've got a video to show you today about a Ewe Caesarean I did quite a few months ago now in our first COVID lockdown, so we were all masked up and whatnot. And yeah, since then we've been paintballing, we've been doing a repro side of stuff, and yeah, keeping busy. It's been really wet. Yeah, a very wet spring, and we're just holding on for a little bit of a drier summer really, and see a bit more of the sun. So yeah, stay tuned and check out this Ewe Caesarean. Cheers. So this is actually from last September, October time, so a fair while ago as well. Starting off with the scrub and the hand wash, so we'll try and get as clean as possible for this surgery. The reason we're doing a cesarean on this Ewe is because she's been showing signs of lambing for the last 2 days, but hasn't really been pushing at all. On exam, her cervix is very close still. I can about fit one finger through it, and there are certainly lambs on the other side of it, but she's just not she's not getting on with it. She's the last one to lamb, and she was due about 2 days ago. So after having a discussion with the owner, I was like, well, options are we give her another 24 hours, see what happens, or we just take the lambs out of her today. We decided that while I was there, we might as well crack on and do it today. So we're joining the action. I've already clipped and scrubbed her, and I've already localed her. So for Ewe Caesareans, I normally do either an inverted L block, or I think in this case I probably just did a line block. So where I plan to suture is where I've injected over local as well. So the Ewe can't feel any of this going on, and everything's all numbed. So what I end up doing is I start off with a scalpel to make through a skin incision, and once I get through a skin, I've got several muscle layers to get through, in which I go on and start using my scissors to enlarge the hole. So when I start enlarging the hole, I start off with making it roughly about the size of my hand, so I can fit a hand through and in. Because it's far easier to be able to enlarge a hole later than make it too big to begin with. The line block itself I've extended all the way from the top to the bottom. It has given me a lot of options to then enlarge the surgical site if I wish to. Again, I'm using the scissors here just rather than the scalpel, just as I am going through the body wall. I don't want to accidentally nick any of the internal organs, and using scissors is just a lot easier and a lot safer to actually get into the body wall itself than go into then accidentally pierce into the abdomen. So what I'm doing now is I'm feeling for the uterus, and my plan is to bring that uterus up to the surgical site. At this stage, once I know what I'm dealing with, I can look to extend the hole further on, and I'm here trying to bring that uterus up. Unfortunately, my GoPro didn't have any chargeable batteries with it, and I'd forgotten to charge them, so I don't have a GoPro shot of this surgery, so it's all from this one perspective, which might not be the best one going, but it'll give you a good idea what's happening. I've increased the rate of the video here, and I'm having difficulty actually getting the uterus up towards the surgical site. So what I want to find one lamb in the uterus, in hopefully the left horn of the uterus, to bring up towards it. I pop a leg up, I think I might be there now. I pop the leg out of a surgical site, and I use that to incise over. So what I've got in my hand is actually one of the lamb's legs through the uterus, and I'm using scissors again to to cut into the uterus. And this just gives me a lot more control over the lamb and the uterus itself. And out comes the first lamb, still nice and viable, and the second lamb, and I pass it over to the owner to keep it going, giving it a good rub, getting it stimulated, while I'm going looking for the next one. So I put my hand in the uterus, and you follow the uterus in and round, come up with another leg, and as you can see from the kicking as well, that makes it, they're not too pleased to be born really. There's a lot of pulling back and they are bloody slippery. So keeping hold of the little buggers is a bit of a trick in itself. Now this one which is coming out is yellow in colour, so we call that meconium stained. So meconium is basically the first poo which a newborn animal does. And you can see just how yellow it is compared to the first one. And this is really a sign that the animal has been under stress, and this is probably the one causing a problem, because as you're about to see, this poor girl's got triplets in her. That's partly why she's so big. So out comes the third one, which is nice and white as well. So the first one was in the left horn, the last one was in the right horn, and that middle one was actually sitting in the centre, so around the cervix area. And that was one which was probably causing other problems, just because it is so yellow stained, and the others are so nice and white. They are actually very, very big lambs, 4 triplets. She did very well. So what I'm doing here now is I'm just removing as much of the afterbirth as I can from the uterus. I don't worry about removing all of it. Absolutely, I just want it out of my surgical site when I am suturing the uterus shut again, and I really just don't want, the more I can remove, the less chance there is of infection being trapped into that uterus as well. So all 3 lambs are shaking their heads and doing reasonably well. And I've sped it up again now, and this is how I'm just really closing the uterus. So when I close my uterus, I do two layers of sutures. So the first one just brings it together nicely, and the second one really makes sure that it's watertight and sealed properly. I'm using catgut as well for my suture material. It's a little bit old school, but again it's pretty dissolvable and it handles reasonably well. So that's my first layer of sutures done, and I tie it off with an Aberdeen suture, an Aberdeen knot, and then I finish off my second layer, which is really just making sure, like we said before, it is that nice watertight sealed line. Tie that off and push it back away. So afterwards I close the body wall in 3 layers. So there's 3 muscle layers. You've got the internal abdominal oblique, external abdominal oblique, and transverse muscles. So I close the peritoneum, which is the internal membrane around all the internal organs, with my first muscle layer. And then I close the second 2 muscle layers together in one suture line, and I use both absorbable sutures for that. Again, the ewes beginning to get a little bit frustrated at this point. It doesn't help when the lambs are up and standing around her head as well, because she wants to get up and start looking after them. So we're on to the second muscle layer, I think, here now. Working our way shut. And finally we're on to the skin layer, which I just use a nylon suture for. I'm a big fan of forward interlocking sutures, because I think it gives a really nice closed, sealed outer layer. The bottom suture I always put as a cruciate, which just means that I can take out the cruciate one at a time. That if there's excessive swelling or it needs drainage, give her a bit of a wash to turn her back from a red U to a white U. And yeah, we give her a spray and let her stand up.
Jump off her. Oh, we've got some jabs to give her, but we'll let her have a breather.
Once she's found her legs, they tolerate it really, really well. Back into the lambs, and yeah, she's a.
There you go.
Holy shit, they are wrong. I don't think I want them.
Red, well, not so much into her lambs. She's more interested in the surgical kit from the looks of it.
I'll go and grab some blue spray to spray the wound.
I'll put it out to you anyway where it's cleaner, so
Magic.
you know, come and feed whoever didn't get paid and one's in.
Oh yeah. Oh, cool.
So this is 2 weeks later when we call in just to see how she's doing and take her sutures out. So the sutures in the skin are non-dissolvable. This is why we take them out, because they're not going to go anywhere otherwise. But the wound itself is looking really, really good. It's come together nicely. No scab, no signs of infection, no swelling. So we're just taking these out. The ewes done really well. The lambs have done really well as well. And no, it's just a good outcome. I think it was the right decision for both ewe, lamb and owner.
Magic.
A bit more blue spray just to prevent any further infection onto that site. But she's done really well out of that surgery.
Oh, you have grown well.
And these are the lambs. And in the 2 weeks they've grown really well as well. Really big for a set of triplets.
No worries.